Hello and welcome to third training session for Java as well as for Selenium. So as I had said earlier, we would be continuing to learn Java along with the Selenium. So in this session, we are going to see a few more things. Let's have a look at those. So we will have a look at variables and different types of variables, primitive data types, arrays, and control flow statements. So let's begin with the variables. So when it comes to variables, we have primarily four types of variables in Java. We have instance variable, which are associated with an object of a class. So when we create an object of a class, we have different values being set for those objects when it comes to instance variables. We will look at one of the example of instance variables soon. Then we have class variable. Class variables are not associated with instance of a class or object of a class. They are associated with the class, hence they are called class variable, and these variables have static keywords with them. Then we have local variables, which are within a method. So these variables are not visible outside methods. And then we have parameters. So let's have a look at this. So I have created a small program here, uh, continuing our previous session. So we had the source package, and now I have oops package here, and inside oops package I have basics, and then I created a Firefox Selenium class. So as I had stated earlier, how we create a class, we right click on a package, say new and the class name, and your class is ready. So here I have created a class with the name Firefox Selenium. So now I have couple of variables here. For example, I have one instance variable which is search result. I have one class variable which is browser, and if you see, it is marked with the keyword static, which means that this variable is associated with the class and not with any object of the class. Then I have my main method in which I have arguments being passed, and this is what I was talking about when I said parameter types of variable. And then we have main method, within which we have local variable. So I have a local variable here which is called temp. Alright, so let's begin with our description now. So I have created an instance of, in fact, two instances, or two objects of class Firefox Selenium, which are Firefox Selenium 1 and Firefox Selenium 2. How do I do that? I have Firefox Selenium, the name of the class, followed by the name of the instance or the object, followed by new, and then Firefox Selenium. Similarly, I have created Firefox Selenium 2. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to set value of the instance variable over these objects. So how do I do that? I write the name of the object, which is Firefox Selenium 1 dot name of the instance variable, which is search result here, and then I have set it with some string, which is, for instance, Firefox Selenium 1, and I have done similar operation for Firefox Selenium 2 as well, which is set with value or a string, for instance Firefox Selenium 2, and then I'm just printing these statements. So I have written a couple of print statements, and then we how do we print the instance variable? We print it using name of the instance dot name of the instance variable. The same operation is done with the second object as well. Alright, so this was how we can set the value of instance variable and how we can access it. Now we have a class variable also here, which is browser. So let's see how we access class variable. We have couple of more print statements, and then we have class variable being accessed by using the name of the class. So name of the class is Firefox Selenium, so we access the static variable or class variable on the name of the class. So we say Firefox Selenium dot browser, which is the static variable here, and then we have one array defined. So we have not seen array so far, so let's look at the array. Array is a kind of collection which gives us the capability to store same type of data. So for example, I can store a string or integer in an array. So here I have declared an array of a string with the name search result link, and it follows new operator followed string keyword and then the size of the string. So size of array, sorry, not size of a string, size of array. So size of array is fixed here, so this array can contain only 2 elements. Let us see how we can do more operations on array now. But before that, I would like to inform you how I'm going to use Firefox here. So to be able to use Firefox or Firefox driver from Selenium, I had to add one library here, which is Selenium server standalone jar. You can download it from Selenium headquarter. But if you want to use it in your project, then just right click on the project and say open module setting, and under dependencies click on the plus symbol and add jars, and then you can select the location of the jar and then it will be added here. But this is not how you should be writing the Selenium program or Selenium test. This is just for learning the Selenium, because if we follow this procedure, then we would have this configuration on one system, and we do not want that. We want to be able to run Selenium test independently. So once we have learned enough of Java, then I would suggest you to go to my website and download, yeah, Selenium test framework from here, and then you can try it. So I repeat again, this is not how we should be writing the Selenium test. This is just for learning and not more than that. Alright, so let's get back to our program now. So we have, yeah, so we have an instance created for Firefox driver here. So we had seen in first session that we have a remote web driver interface, and this interface is implemented by a Firefox driver class. So now we create an instance of Firefox driver class. How? We say Firefox driver followed by name of the object equal to new followed by name of the class. This operation is same as how we created an instance of our own class here, which we did here in this line. It's only that in this case we are using class from a jar file. We are not using our own class. Then we have one setting here which is to set the timeout. So let's not worry about this. Let's just assume that because of this setting, Firefox will wait for certain time before it complains about some element being not there on the page. Alright, now let's see what's the next line. Next line is we are opening the Google home page, and then let's see what we do next. Now here we are trying to find, we are trying to search on a keyword called Selenium headquarters. So how do we do that? We have created Firefox driver instance here. So we say Firefox driver dot find element by name dot send keys. So this is a parameter. So we spoke of parameter type of variable here, and this is an example of that. So find element is a method here which takes a by object. And how do we give by object to it? We say by dot name. Here name is a static method, so we are calling it over the class name, and Q is the name of HTML element in Google homepage, and then we send keys Selenium headquarter to it. Then what we are doing, we are clicking on a button element which is button G here. So the only difference between these two statements is that in first statement we are passing the key or we are passing the test data, and in the second method we are clicking a button. Okay, now let's see what happens next here. Okay, now after having done the search, we are trying to get the text from couple of links from here. So for example, if I go to say google.com and then search on Selenium headquarter, yeah, then we have couple of links here, say shopping, video, builder, news, and other links. And these are the links which I'm trying to fetch from here. Now how do I do that? I again use my Firefox driver instance, and then I call find element method, and this time I'm using the link test element locator. So in case you have more questions or queries about how we can use different types of element locators, then I will suggest you to watch first Selenium training videos, which is available on this link, and it describes how we can use different element locator strategies to locate an element on the page. Okay, having said that, we find one element using link text here, and then we get its text. Obviously is going to be videos, and then we are fetching link text for another link which is news. Obviously it is going to be news here, but what we are doing here is, so if we recall, we have an array here, and now we are assigning these values to two elements of array. So video text goes to first element of array and news goes to second element of array. Let's proceed. Let's see what we do next. Now we are trying to print these values. So how do we do that? How do we access these elements? As we saw earlier, we use the name of the array followed by the index number. So first link is 0 and the second link is 1. So thing to remember here is that array indexing begins with 0. Okay, let's proceed next. Now we will see conditional statements or conditional flow statement. So while writing your program, you would also see that you may come across different conditions while testing, which says if something is true then do this, if something is false then do that, and here is an example of it. So here we are using again Firefox driver instance, and we call the find element method here. We try to find element using link test, and we confirm if it is displayed. So when this condition is true, then we will have web link is present statement being printed. Following this, we have another if condition which says find the result states. So what is the result states here? So if we see Google uh, homepage after search, so we have some statistics being displayed here, and this is the element locator which I am using for result states. Alright, now what I do here is I try to get text out of it, and we see that the text is, well, it's German text and it doesn't have the word Microsoft in it. So I compare it with Microsoft. It means this condition would fail. So we will not have this statement being printed, we have the else statement being printed. Hence, if condition is not true, then else block will be printed. Let's see next what we have. Following this, we have a for loop with a break statement. Now what we are doing in for loop is we are iterating through the elements of array. So we have this array which we have initialized using two different text values, and now we iterate through it. How do we do that? So this is the syntax for it. Here we have the data type, and then we have declared a variable colon followed by name of the array. So this is our array. So all of the values of array would be assigned one by one to str, and then they would be printed. And then we have one if condition here. If condition says that if str is equal to video, then break the loop, which means don't run loop anymore. We know already that we have only two values here, which are, if I go a little up, which are videos and news. It means that for loop would be run only once and not more than that. This brings us to the end of this method, and then we close the driver. We close the driver and then we quit the instance, or we close the Firefox and we quit the instance. So after this, Firefox driver could not be used. So let's try to run this program. So since it is main method, I can just right click and say run. Let me close this instance. Yeah, so I will just say run. Yeah, so it's running now, and we will see Firefox coming up soon, and then we will review the results or statements which are printed here. Well, I hope Firefox does show up. Yeah, here comes the Firefox, and Google is being launched there, and then Selenium headquarter is searched, and here are the results, and it is closed. So this was pretty quick. This is how automated test would be run when we have our automated test ready. So let's have a look at results now. So let's see our print statements. So this is first print statement where we are accessing the instance variable. So we remember that we assign value to instance variables here. So these values are being printed here. First object state, for instance Firefox Selenium 1, and for instance Firefox Selenium 2. Let's come further down and see what's happening there. Yeah, so here we have class variable being accessed here, and we know that we assign this value here, which is Firefox. So this is the same value which is printed here on the console, which is nothing but the Firefox. Okay, let's come further down, and then we are doing some operations on array, and this is our print statement. So we had initialized array, and then we are printing the values. So we have first link being printed as video and second as news, as these values are assigned here and then printed here. Let's come to our control flow statement next. So control flow statement, we are having one element, and then we verify whether this element is present or not, and we know that on Google search result page we have this element present. Hence we have another statement being displayed, which is web link is present. Now let's come to our conditional statement. So we know that when we are searching for Selenium headquarter, there is no possibility of Microsoft being displayed here. Hence this condition evaluates to false. So the control comes to the else block, and this line is printed, which is Microsoft is not present. And then let's come to our last loop our last block here, which is for loop with a break condition, wherein we are printing all the values which we collected in array earlier, which is our search result links. And then we see here that we have another if condition, that if string is equal to videos, then break the loop. And this is exactly what happens here. We print the string uh, which is here, which is videos, because we know that first value of or first element in the array is indeed video, which is here. And then it breaks, control comes out of this because the condition is satisfied, and then loop would not be run any further. And then we are printing hash. After this we close the browser, and this is what we saw. So I can run it again and show you. These are the exact operations which happen when browser is launched. So I'm running the main method again. Yeah, so these are the statements which are printed again. So this brings us to the end of part 3 of tutorial. So try to practice Selenium or Java a little bit, and then I will see you in part 4. Good luck with learning. Bye bye.